No.
The Honorable Catherine will be leading the proceedings this afternoon, and I and the other jurors will be her backup judge.
Like the 6 minutes tonight.
Yes.
That's good.
Defense calls the defendant John Draft and requests to advise him of his rights before he begins testifying in earnest.
I have a request that you do that.
Mr. Draft, would you state your name for the record?
Sure, my name is John Graff.
Before we begin, I'd like to advise you of your Fifth Amendment rights. Do you understand that you have a right not to testify today?
I do.
And you understand that if you invoked that right, the judge would give the jury an instruction that they're not allowed to make any negative inferences from doing it, from your choice.
I do.
You understand that, on the other hand, you have an absolute right to testify if you so desire.
I do.
And you understand that this is your choice and yours alone to make?
I do.
And what's your choice today?
To testify.
Are you making that choice freely and voluntarily?
I am.
Has anyone influenced you to make that choice?
No.
Your Honor, if that's sufficient, I'd like to continue.
Anything from the state?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Draft, where do you live?
I live in... Well, I was raised in Rising Star, Lone Star, and that's where I live now.
What is it you do for a living?
I'm an engineer. I run my own engineering company.
And what's that company like?
Well, it's a company that I formed after I quit my old job as an engineer. We employ about 60 people, and we do projects all around the world.
Would you tell the members of the jury what family you have in Lone Star, if any?
Sure. My ex-wife, Pam, and my daughter,
Your daughter is Sally, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Draft, turning your attention to May 13th, 2011, did there come a time when you saw your daughter Sally on that day?
Yes.
And would you describe that for the jury?
Sure. On that day, I went to the local mall to bid on a job, and I saw my daughter with Mr. Walker walking hand in hand.
And how did that make you feel?
Well, I mean, it made me feel suspicious about their relationship.
Would you tell the jury what, if anything, you did after that?
Sure. Well, I went home, and then I accessed my daughter's social media accounts on her iPad. Specifically, I went on to look at her Twitter account.
They approached the bench to retrieve an exhibit that's already been after. Assuming it's the one up here. Mr. Draft, I'm showing you what's been entered into evidence as State's Exhibit 1. Is that the same message you just referred to?
Yes.
And what, if anything, about that message did you recognize, or did you pay attention to?
Well, I mean, I paid attention to the fact that it was between my daughter and Mr. Walker. And just reading the content of the Twitter messages between them, I just became very nauseous. I felt like I was becoming very ill and dizzy, and I think I passed out and knocked my head on the way.
What about the contents made you so upset?
Well, it sounded to me from the content of the messages that they were having a relationship that was beyond just dating, but also possibly physical.
I approach the witness to retrieve that exhibit. And by physical, what do you mean?
Sexual relationship.
Mr. Draft, has there ever come a time when you came into possession of any sort of gun?
Yes.
And would you describe for the jury how you came into possession of a gun?
Sure. I inherited a .32 caliber pistol from my father.
When was the last time that you fired that weapon?
About 5 years ago. I haven't fired it since.
You mentioned earlier that after you saw the Twitter message, you hit your head. When did you regain consciousness?
The next time I regained consciousness, I found myself in jail.
What happened after you woke up?
After I woke up, I learned that it had been about a week and a day after I had passed out. I also spoke to a psychiatrist.
Did there come a time when you talked to a court-appointed psychiatrist named Chris Ciccone?
Yes.
Did there come a time when you spoke with another psychiatrist named Dr. Chris Johnson?
Yes.
Objection, Your Honor, leading.
Rephrase your question.
What, if any, other psychiatrists did you talk to besides Chris Ciccone?
Objection, Your Honor, leading again.
I'm going to overrule it.
I spoke with Dr. Chris Johnson.
When you spoke with Dr. Ciccone, what, if anything, did she tell you?
Well, Dr. Ciccone
Objection,
told
Your
me...
Honor, I believe foundation was laid as to a conversation for Chris Johnson, and now it's leading again in a different direction.
I'm sorry, are we talking about Dr. Ciccone?
I'm talking about Dr. Ciccone, although I asked if he had occasion to meet with Dr. Ciccone, he said yes. And then I asked about Johnson, he said yes. And then I'm back to asking about Ciccone. What, if anything, did Dr. Ciccone tell you?
Objection, Your Honor. Anything the doctor says is hearsay.
This is being offered for a non-hearsay purpose, Your Honor. Specifically, it's being offered not for the truth of the matter asserted, but rather to show bias. If I may proffer, the statement will be there has never been a successful insanity plea in this state, and you won't be the first. Whether that's true or not doesn't matter at all. It could be completely false. What matters is that she said it and that it shows that she's biased against Mr. Draft.
Steve, how do you respond to that?
Your Honor, I believe this is being offered for the truth. This is a way that they're trying to backdoor the statement in to show that the state believes it will never win a case and somehow superior. That's not the case. They're trying to use it against the state for the exact assertion that no one has won a case.
I think I disagree with the state. I'm inclined to believe that it's not coming in for the truth of the matter statement. I don't think it matters so much. So I'm going to overrule your objection.
You may answer the question if you remember it.
Sure. Well, Dr. Ciccone told me that there had never been a successful insanity plea in Armadillo, and this wasn't going to be the first one.
How long did you talk to Dr. Ciccone for?
About half an hour.
Could you tell the jury how long you talked to Dr. Johnson for?